In this video, I will be hurting your feelings a lot. If you don't want your little feelings to get hurt, if you want more sciencey tips and not so much raw tips coming from my own experience, then I suggest go watch, Jeff Nippard, for example, or Greg Doucette. They have fantastic tips on how to get big as a skinny person. Now, if you're still here, that means you don't care about your feelings getting hurt. That means you are actually serious about getting big. And clearly, you got those skinny ass twig legs. So, you need to get bigger. If you've had enough being the little skinny guy, then listen up. First of all, you're skinny, aren't you? You're literally just skin and bones. And generally speaking, being skinny, being a literal walking skeleton means that you are weak. And being weak usually equates to low testosterone. And low testosterone, guys, usually equates to not being a man. So, in simple terms, you being skinny does not make you a man. You need to be a big boy. Okay? It is this simple. Now, speaking from my own personal experience, I really do understand this pain you're feeling. This is why I'm trying to be as raw as possible, use these words, because trust me, the only way I changed was by people telling me that I was really skinny. Just look at these photos, for example. This is me when I was 13-ish, 14, when I was, running a lot, doing 21 kilometers outside, barely eating any carbs because I had this idea that carbs was bad. Absolutely ruining myself and ruining any chance I had to get a bit taller. And just the start of this year, a bit before actually, I finally decided to take the bulk seriously. I finally looked at myself in the mirror and realized I am skin and bones. I am nearly 16 now. I just turned 16 in December, and I need to change. So that's exactly what I did. I remember the day I got back from my holiday in Vietnam. I think it was the 31st of January. That same day, I started taking creatine, and now here's what I look like. I went from skinny little me, 55 kilograms, to now 62 kilograms. And so far, in the last 2 weeks, I've gained 2 extra kilograms. I was 60. My goal is to get 65 and then go on a cut. But let's stop yapping about me, because the cut, guys, you guys do not need to worry about now. Clearly, you're skinny, so you need to focus on the bulking aspect. And as you've seen from my experience, bulking is possible. All you gotta do is do the right things, and it will work. Don't give me excuses about your metabolism, because anyone in this planet, if they just eat enough, they will eventually bulk. So let me share my tips that have helped me gain weight and in turn boost my confidence as a man. Number one, as mentioned before, take creatine. Creatine is a miracle supplement. It works wonders. Ever since I started taking it earlier this year, I've gained, proper 10 kilos. So basically how creatine works is when you look at your muscles without creatine, it is like a cushioned when it's saggy. When like the most of the air goes out of the cushion and then the outstretched uh skin of the balloon is like mushy and like soft. Imagine like a grape when like the grape crunches up, it's like all mushy and soft. That's how your muscles are without creatine, generally speaking. And then when you take creatine, over the weeks you take it, what happens is creatine draws water to your muscles, known as water retention, and basically it helps your muscles look fuller, like a balloon pumped up, and like that full grape that you buy fresh. It looks good, feels good, tastes good. And furthermore, it doesn't just make your muscles look bigger, but it actually makes you stronger. Furthermore, creatine doesn't just help your muscles look bigger, by drawing water to the right places. Remember, guys, having water retention throughout your body is bad because it makes you look fat. But having water retention in your muscles is good. Creatine does this by increasing IGF-1, a hormone that plays a role in muscle growth and repair. In a nutshell, creatine helps you boost your metabolism, helping you build muscle without gaining fat, helps draw water to your muscles, making your muscles look fuller, actually increasing the size of your muscle and the strength of your muscle by increasing bone density and muscle. And essentially, it plays a gigantic role in removing that skeleton-like physique of yours. Number 2, eat healthy. Now, there was this recent video I saw from Joe Frazier's YouTube channel. You can go check that one out if you want. That is comparing a healthy diet to an unhealthy diet and who actually builds more muscle. Now, just to be clear, both the unhealthy person and the healthy person, or their diets, consist of the same amount of calories and the same amount of protein. Those do not differ. And guess what happened, guys? The group that ate healthy naturally led to higher, muscle growth and, of course, muscle strength. Why? The food in itself, the same calories and the same protein, doesn't really affect muscle growth. It's really the same protein and the same calories. But if we look at healthy foods and what they do to our body indirectly, then we can see why this might have happened. Healthy foods help increase your metabolism. It helps you stay energized and focused, which helps you increase your performance at the gym. It allows you to have sustained energy instead of a massive spike of energy and then a massive crash. Furthermore, it helps you sleep better. For example, taking kiwis before bed is a great way to improve sleep because kiwis contain natural melatonin, which is a sleep hormone. So yes, guys, when you're bulking, you need to eat more. And then when people assume this, they think they can just eat whatever the hell they want. Yes, to an extent, you can eat whatever the hell you want, but if you really want to maximize your gains, you need to be eating more, and this more needs to be healthy. It is okay to have one cheat meal every now and then, but if you're eating healthy, trust me, it makes things so much better. It allows you to stay lean while you build muscle. It allows you to keep a clean face without any pimples, and just all those nuanced little things that you wouldn't otherwise think about, when you're eating unhealthy. Now, number 3, and this is the most important and essential of all, and this is probably one of the worst things to do in a bulk. I've been there, but it is necessary. It is called the 2-hour cycle in the 4-hour window. Weird name, right? Well, let me explain. Basically, every 2 hours in a 4-hour window, you're going to be eating a snack and a meal. So basically, let's say you wake up at 7 and you have your first breakfast, like your first proper meal, right? Let's call it breakfast at 8 a.m. At 10, you're already going to have a snack. 2 hours later at 12, you're going to have another meal. 2 hours after that at 2, you're going to have another snack. At 4, you're going to have another meal. At 6, you're going to have a snack. And then at 8, you're going to have your last meal, completing that 12-hour window of 4 hours. Through this program, you're going to be eating 4 meals a day with 3 snacks. This is literally the best thing you can do for gains. You don't have to force feed yourselves every single time you eat and try to eat as much as possible. By spacing out your meals and by varying what you eat and how much is the quantities, it is just so much better. Now, just to classify, your snack cannot be just a couple carrots or a couple celery. Like, what is this? Are you trying to be skinny forever? And don't be like, oh, my lunch is going to be a sandwich. Hell no. No sandwiches, no cereal, none of that bullshit. You need to be eating proper high caloric foods. Meat, steak. In the morning, what I like to do is 3 eggs, 2 slices of toast, avocado, cheese, ham, a cup of watermelon juice or whatever juice, some grapes, and whatever. No cereal bullshit or no sandwiches. If you want to eat that, then classify that as a snack and not a meal. Please, are you trying to stay skinny forever? That's what I did for around 3 months when I got back from Vietnam. Follow this route and you will see gains. Now, enough of talking about food. Food is the most important aspect, but let's actually look at the gym tips. So just before we start the gym tips, just to be clear, guys, the food aspect of things covers around 90% of how you look. When I was 13 all the way to 15, I was training hard at the gym, going to failure, sometimes actually, getting stronger, really, but still skinny. Why? Because I just simply didn't eat enough and I was doing just way too much cardio to compensate how much food I was actually eating. Now, finally, when I turned 16, I matured enough to realize I cannot be a skinny guy anymore, and I actually ate more. As soon as I ate more and I took creatine, my body suddenly exploded. I've gained like 7 kilos in the past 4 months, which is crazy. And I think that's because my body has been waiting to really build that size from that 2 years, without eating. So that's just for you guys to remember. You guys could train as hard as possible at the gym, but if you're not eating enough, you're gonna stay skinny. But now let's just stop yapping about this and let's look at these gym tips. Number 1, progressively overload. How to progressively overload? In the most simplest terms, guys, I want you to add 1.25 kilograms on each side of the bar. That's squat, that's bench, that's deadlift. Every single week, keep adding 1.25s. If you're doing calisthenics, progressively overload that. Do weighted dips, so do normal dips, get higher reps, and then do weighted dips, and just keep progressively overloading in whichever way possible. And I'm sure you guys know how to do this. Now, what I'm doing personally, and I give this suggestion for you guys, is this thing called the 4-week taper. So basically, every 4 weeks, I progressively overload. I add 1.25 kilograms to my bench. I was benching what? Like 75-ish, and I've just been progressively overloading every single week. And now I'm on 82.5, right? So 80, and then I just added 1.25s this week, actually, and this is for reps. And after every 4 weeks, you're going to taper off and go back to that original weight before the 4 weeks started and see how many reps you can do. Naturally, it will feel lighter, and it just also gives times for your body and your muscles, bones to recover, which is point number 2. Actually, you're going to slowly decrease your reps all the way to 4 as you add the weight, and then when you see that you do less than 4, or maybe that is less than 6 if you're trying to actually build muscle and not strength, then you lower the weight again and just keep trying to rep more and more until you reach 12 or 15 with compound movements like squat, bench. When you do hit 12, that means you need to go way heavier and go back to 6. And that is another way you guys can do it. You can do it either by reps or by adding weights, or usually it tends to be both. Now, number 2, don't overtrain, guys. Do the taper thing that I told you before. Get good sleep, guys. Eat the necessary nutrients for your muscles to actually recover. Go to the sauna. Do the cold shower. Take that random rest day, even if you feel guilty. Do not train when you're sick. Just do these general things that will help you to feel better. It's the law of slow and steady wins the race. Now, number 3, have a smart training routine. And this is probably the most crucial one out of all. And it is connecting both not overtraining to progressively overloading. You need to create a workout routine that is actually systematic. You'd be surprised of how many regular gym goers don't actually have a gym routine and just go and do whatever which day. whatever they feel like, or whatever is not sore. You need to be training all muscle groups fairly. And if there is already a muscle imbalance with one of your muscles because you didn't train it, legs, you skinny man, then that means you need to be training more of that. Let me give you an example of me. I did not train legs at all when I was running, just upper body, since it was so stupid. What happened? Chicken legs, kind of skinny arms, but even worse legs. So I decided to do legs 3 times a week for 2 hours each. It was a pain, I have to admit. That was last year. But finally, my legs are actually big now, surprisingly big. And now I have everything equal again, which I'm so happy about. Furthermore, you want to focus on compound movements, like I said before, so you can actually progressively overload, squat, bench, deadlift, pull-ups, rows, chin-ups if you want, just movements that work different muscle groups at once, which is what a compound movement is, if you didn't know. To add to these compound movements, which generally should be 6 to 10 reps, you want to add some isolated movements. So let's say leg day, I'm doing squats, which is my compound movement. I do 120 for 6 or 120 for 5, just 2 sets. And then after, I do an isolated exercise for my quads, my hamstrings, and my calves, right? For quads, I just do the simple, leg extensions. I do around 10 to 15 reps, sometimes even 20. It's a higher rep range for the more isolated movements to actually focus on that muscle growth. Compound is for strength, isolated is for growth. Finally, guys, make sure you are actually training hard to failure, progressively overloading, but like I said, making sure you don't actually kill yourselves and just get injured and overtrain. Hopefully you've seen from this video that the tips I've given are relatively general, but also nuanced. All these tips are applicable for everyone. However, they're not tailored to the individual, if that makes sense. Please, guys, follow all these rules and you will bulk. But remember, you can always change things up. That 12-hour eating program that I told you about, you can change that slightly. Whatever you want to eat, guys, you can change that slightly too. Your training program, that could be calisthenics. It doesn't have to be just weights. It's just whatever works for you. And the most important thing of all is that, you enjoy the process. If you don't enjoy the process, then why the hell are you watching this video? And of course, hit the subscribe button, since that's also really important. Thanks so much for listening. Hopefully you've gained some knowledge from this video and that you stop being skinny. DM me right here if you want more tips, or if you want me to help you out with your progress more individually instead of these general tips. Ciao!